Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks. And if I sound like a little bit hyper and weird, that's because I've literally just had the best game ever. Because I, about 10 minutes ago, just got the Stug 4. I know you're probably wondering why the hell has it taken you like 3 years to get it. Because I need to get good. Especially playing light tanks, it took me far too long to try and get light tank 15 done, but the team was fantastic. You know, I was like, please everyone, I need to get this amount of spotting damage. Please get me it. And so they were like, yeah, no problem, we got you. So I completed it with honours, got the 5 commendations that I needed, got the 4th female crew member, and bang, got my Stug 4. But the voice, the over voice is still male for some reason. I was a bit sad by that. Anyway, so we're going to be doing a tank review of the T26E5 P for Patriot. And what this is, it's basically Pershing, which has just eaten a lot of McDonald's and made it heavy. So you've now got the T26, the actual Pershing, in the game. You've also got the T23-3. Or actually no, that I thought it was going to be like E5, E4, E3, E2, and E1 versions of the Pershing, but unfortunately it isn't. You've got the T26E5, T26E4, and the T26. So there's a fair amount of Pershings now about in the game. But so what this is it's a Pershing which has been painted in some patriotic American colours. On the barrel, it's got "We the People," and it's got a decent 90mm gun. I just can't use the tank. I need to get good in the tank. I need to learn about it. But anyway, so what have we got here, other than a fat Pershing? And that is basically what you've got. It's a fat Pershing with some stars and stripes on it. I was a bit disappointed with the camo actually on this, because I think that some people don't like the flags on these tanks, but I think the French flag looks fantastic on the Liberty. I mean, in game, this tank, it's just amazing to just look at it. I mean, it never feels wrong on this tank to me. I mean, I think that the way it fades to the back of the tank, and the fact that most of the tank is actually covered by red, white, and blue is just fantastic, and it's just a really fantastic tank, and I love it to bits. However, the T26E5, I don't think it really works on this tank, because I've seen the T34 Independence on Blitz, and that's the camo that I imagine to be on here. Completely stars and stripes. Unfortunately, it seems like about 3/4 of it is actually stars and stripes. The rest of it is just this boring American olive drab, which I was actually a bit sad about, because the Independence, even though I can't use it on Blitz, the T34, I think that the camo on it is just amazing. It looks crisp, it looks clean, it looks amazing on it. However, this one, it looks a bit dull and yeah, just a bit meh on it. So I mean, it's an alright tank. I just can't use it, and I think that the actual Patriot bit on it doesn't look great. But it has "We the People" on it, and it's got 3 stripes on the barrel. So I mean, not that American tanks actually have stripes on the barrel, they have stars, and I'm sure that the stars actually go on these red stripes and look nice. But anyway, I've waffled on enough. So what does it have? It has 1500 HP, which is actually a small amount of HP for a heavy tank. I mean, 1500 HP for the AMX. I mean, the IS-3 and the IS-3A have got pretty low HP. This has got 50 HP more than the Liberty or the Patriot. But I mean, 1600 for the Tiger 2, things like that. It's a fairly small amount in regards to heavy tanks at this tier. As for the armour, 152 at the front, 76 at the side, 50 at the rear. So yeah, it's like a Pershing, but it's had a riot shield glued to the front of it. Even though that's more the Super Pershings, take on it. The Super Pershing has got a riot shield attached to it, but this has just been up armoured really at the front. But 152 at the front, but it's not really sloped that well. You may have 170 maybe effective frontal armour, which is not as good as the Liberty's. And then you take into account the Liberty's actual frontal sloping, which makes it have about the same effectiveness of 220 about frontal armour on this thing from on the hull, not counting the side cheeks. This thing doesn't have cheeks, which is good, so that's a bonus for this, but it's still only 152. Things will go through it pretty easily. As for the turret, 190 at the front, which is decent, plus it's got the weird American gun mantlet, so that's going to eat some shots, I'm sure. Plus they'll bounce off of it and things. 114 at the side, and surprisingly 127 at the rear. It's actually slightly thicker at the rear of the tank, and I'm guessing that's the same reason as why the T34 has got something like 271 at the rear of its turret, and that's because I'm guessing this is ballast. It's just a thick block of steel that's just weighing down the back of the turret so that the gun can actually focus on things, which is the same reason as why the T34 and the T30 and all those other weird turreted American tanks have, and that's why it's so thick at the rear, because it's ballast. Really, it's not really armor. It's just a whole chunk of metal, but it acts as armor because it's so thick. But yeah, so the sides and rears not that thick. Things are going to go through it, not even any which way, but the front of it pretty solid on the turret. It does of course have the cupola at the top, but then again the cupola is fairly small. It's possible to ricochet off of it or miss it, so I mean, yeah, that's a fairly small weak spot, but I suppose it is still a weak spot. And as for the front, this bit here is of course a weak spot. I have no idea what it is, because it can't be a driver's viewport, because otherwise the clan logo wouldn't be covering it, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, so there's the armour. As for mobility, it's a 46-ton Pershing with a 704 horsepower engine, which means that it's got a 15.11 horsepower per ton ratio, which isn't that great, frankly. I mean, the Liberty has got a 14.18, the KV5 has got 11, 10 for the IS-3A, 15.51 for the M4A1. So I mean, it's on par with the M4A1, and the M4A1 is not a particularly mobile tank, not the Tier 8 version of the M4, at least. So yeah, it doesn't have that great horsepower per ton ratio. But I suppose it's passable. After all, it does still have a 40 km/h top speed with a 15 reverse speed. It doesn't turn that great though, 32.15 traverse speed, so I mean, it's not that great at traversing. As for concealment, 6.73 and a 3.93, yeah. It's a pretty easy thing to see. I mean, the IS-3A has got an 8 concealment when stationary compared to this one's 6. 5 for the AMX. I mean, the 59 Pattern's got 11. Even the M4 has got 13. It's actually, well, I was about to say it's actually surprisingly better than the Pattern, but then again, the 59 Pattern is a fairly easy thing to see, as is the Scorpion. In the Ag Tiger somehow managed to get a 15 concealment, whereas this thing only gets a 6. So yeah, work that one out. But yeah, so it's going to be spotted fairly easily. After all, you do have American Freedom painted all over your tank. Has pretty good view range, 390 meters, with a 777 signal range, which is fairly funny. Compared to the 350 of the IS-3A, it's a pretty good view range. I mean, the KV5 is pretty blind, 357 meters. The Liberty as well has only got 378 view range, so I mean, this thing has got pretty good view range and very good signal range, so that's good. You can easily spot people as they're coming up to you, so that means that you can get this gun into work. And talking about this gun, minus 10 degrees of gun depression, which is quite good, and 20 gun elevation, which is also very good. 6.2 reload time, 9.7 rounds per minute of this gun, which has got a base of 8.33 rate of fire, which is a 90mm T7E1 gun. It's the same as on the T26E5, which is just the Patriot, but without the Patriot bit. It fires APCR as standard, which is quite good. Does have very good penetration, 230, with 259 with APCR, a different type of APCR at least, with a 45 penetration with high explosive. So yeah, high explosive damage 320, but then it's never going to penetrate, so you're likely going to bounce or do about 30 damage. 240 average damage with APCR, with your standard APCR and the premium APCR. I don't know, it's difficult. Okay, so yeah, it's got good penetration. The premium APCR doesn't have that greater penetration over the standard credit built APCR, so I mean it's only about 30mm more, which isn't that much really, considering the fact that it's going to be costing a lot more. But yeah, that's very good penetration with it's a little bit meh damage. It's sort of like the 17-pounder down at tier 7. I mean, the alpha damage isn't great, but the DPM is. This one, it's more about sort of DPM with good penetration, like the 17-pounder. It's just a sort of slightly bigger caliber 17-pounder, if you will. But it's a good, solid gun. I mean, if you can work ridge lines, which you can with your minus 10 degrees of gun depression, means that this becomes a pretty effective frontline brawler, if not damage taker. Like the KV5 or the IS-3A is, because it will not bounce that much. Side scraping is slightly effective, but I wouldn't count on it, nor would I count on any of your armour really to save you. So this is more a sort of ridgeline brawler is really where you're going to be wanting this thing, because that's where it excels in with its gun depression and its good penetration, so you can easily poke up, fire, poke back in again. So there's that. Also, it's like a fat medium tank. Really, it's a bit like playing the T26E5 E4. Sorry, the Super Pershing. That's what I imagine it to be. But anyway, so it does carry 70 rounds, which is a fairly large amount. It has two different types of APCR. Which are basically the same, except one ends in E15 and one ends in E16. So I mean, yeah. But yeah, 70 rounds of APCR is standard. That's quite nice to have. Damn, I've got a lot of first aid kits saved up from those winter missions. But I've gone with a gun rammer. I would say also go with improved ventilation as well. Camo net binos. It can do well as a sniper. I mean, if we have a look at the base stats here, 0.38 dispersion, it's not that great, but it's alright, with a 2.3 second aim time, which means that it can pass as a sniper, but I wouldn't really count on it, so I would say sort of a grey area, really. Camo and binos, I would say probably no for me, but I mean, if you really want to give it a go, then you can. I mean, it's not like they're permanent things that you have to demount with gold. You can easily just strip them off and put them on a tank destroyer, maybe. But yeah, so I'd say probably no with those two. Coated optics if you really want the better view range. Gun lane drive, you don't really need it. 2.3 seconds is pretty good. It's sort of standard. Enhanced suspension in case you keep getting detract and you don't want to. So I mean, yeah, it's up to you. Tanks filled with CO2 and wet ammo rack in case you keep getting set on fire or ammo racked, respectively. I mean, up to you. Spore liner, I would say no. The armour is alright for the turret front, but I mean, I would say no. Don't bother with that. Toolbox is always something useful to have on. And then improved vents is going to be something that you'll want. And then vertical stabilizer, probably not a bad idea actually. You could go ahead and slap one of them on if you have one lying around. As for the crew, it's a crew of 5, so you've got your commander. I'm draining 6 cents because, well, that's always what you want. I've managed to get him a steel wall. So somehow I've managed to get a steel wall in this thing. But Eagle Eye is always useful. Go ahead and train that on. Jack of all trades, it's up to you if you don't have anything else that you want to train. Recon is always a useful thing to have. Mentor, I don't really see the point in. I don't really want to use it. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you want Mentor, then sure, but if not, meh. And then you've got your common skills. Then you've got your gunner, which I'm training Deadeye on. And yeah, so Deadeye Snapshot, it's actually passable on this tank. I suppose Brawling it's a sort of weird medium tank, heavy tank combination, because it doesn't really have the feel of a heavy tank, but then it doesn't really have the mobility of a medium tank. So it's it's very much like the Super Pershing, really. So I mean, Snapshot is up to you. You could go with it. Don't see why not. Armourer, if you don't want to burn a repair kit on your gun, and then Designate Target is, yeah, sure, could be the shot that wins the game if you could see them for 2 more seconds. And then you've got your common skills. Then we've got the driver. So I'm training him in clutch braking because, quite frankly, 32 degrees per second to hold reverse isn't that great. So yeah, training up clutch braking, then off-road driving is going to be something that you'll want. Smooth ride is passable on this tank. I mean, it is like a fat medium, so I mean, there's that. Preventive maintenance reduces chance of engine fire if you don't want to set on fire as often. Yeah, if you keep getting set on fire, then there's that for you. Then you've got controlled impact. You could ram things, but I would probably advise against it unless it's like a light tank or a thinly armoured medium, or a low health medium perhaps. And then you've got your common skills. Then for the radio operator, I am training relay because it has got a very good radio, so relay is going to be helpful for your team. You could be a team player. Signal boosting, if you want to be able to radio the entire map. If you want to act as a mobile satellite hub, then I mean, there's that. So I mean, it's up to you if you want to do that. Call for Vengeance, if you don't have anything else to train, go ahead and put that on. Situational awareness is always useful, extend that view range, and then you've got your common skills. And then finally, your loader, your Corporal. Corporal Herbert. A good name, Herbert. But I'm training him in Adrenaline Rush because, you know, Adrenaline Rush is always nice. Intuition, in case you keep swapping between APCR and APCR. It doesn't sound as good there because it fires APCR standard, but I mean, I don't really see the point in carrying much APCR on this tank, so I would say no, probably. And then safe stowage in case you keep getting ammo racked, or your ammo rack keeps getting damaged, then I mean, there's that. Then you've got your common skills, and that is that. Loss is loss. So overall, it's basically a reskin Super Pershing. It's a fat medium or a weird heavy. I mean, it's frankly what it is. But I mean, can you not feel the freedom radiating from it? So I mean, yeah, it's got a decent gun, and it can work ridgeline. So it's all about using it in the correct positioning, really. Look at all those stripes on it, and those stars, and the eagle of freedom. We the people shall win the games. But yeah, so it's a decent enough tank. I can't really use it, but I mean, that's a fault with me. And then yeah, it looks alright, I suppose. I mean, it's got stars on the wheels. What more could you want? Even though you can't really see them because of my terrible laptop. But anyway, yeah. So I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.